Shalom, shalom. It's Brother Yatazadak, Hero of Israel. I'd like to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakah Kodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone. Right? Today we're going to go into Deuteronomy chapter 6, right? Going into the Hebrew, right? Let's get right into it, right? Deuteronomy 6 and 1, right? While it reads, Wazaath, or Slakia, Wazath, Ha Matazawa, Ha Haquayim, right? Which is, reads, and this is the command, right? Ha Haquayim, meaning statues, right? Waha Mashapatium, and ordinances, right? Ashar Tazawa Yahweh Allahayakam, which commanded the Lord your power, right? La Lamad, right? To learn, it reads Atakam La Ashawath, right? For you to do, right? Ba'arataza Ashar Atham Ibarium, in the land which you are crossing over hither, Shema, to possess. La Rashata. Verse 2, Lamayan Tayara Atha Yahweh Alahayaka, right? So that you may fear to Yahweh your power, to keep La Shamar Atha Kal Haquath Yahweh, to keep to all his statutes, Wa Matazawathia, Wa Matazawath Yahweh, right, and his commandments, right, because the tha at the end makes it plural, right? Ashar Anakaya Matazawa Ka, right, which I have commanded to thee, right? Atha one banka waban banka, right? To you and your children and the children of your children, right? Call Yamaya Chaya Yaka, all the days of your life, Wala Mayan, so that Ya Arakan, so they may be prolonged your days, Yamaya Ka, right? So just to reiterate what the first two verses say, it says, and this is the command, right? Actually, it reads, and this is what was commanded, statutes and ordinances, which commanded to the Lord your power, to learn for you to do in the land. I don't know why I went to the previous chapter, bear with me. Right, so it reads, and this is what was commanded, the statutes and ordinances which had commanded the Lord your power, to learn for you to do in the land which you are crossing over hither to possess. so that you may fear to the Lord your power, to keep to all his statutes and his commandments, which I have commanded thee, to you and your children's children all the days of your life, so that they may be lengthened your days. Right? Verse 3 says, Washamitha, Yasharala, Washamartha. Right? And hear Israel, and keep to do La Ashawath, Ashar Yayatab, Laka, which will be well unto thee. Wa Ashar Ta Rabawan Ma'ad, and which will and which, right, for you to be multiplied, right, because that word rab is to multiply, ma'ad, exceedingly, ka ashar dabar Yahweh alahaya, like which spoke the Lord, the power of your fathers, Abathayaka, right? Laka, to thee, right? Arataza Zabath Chalab Wadabash, a land flowing with milk and honey, right? So it says, and hear Israel, and keep to do to that which will be well unto thee, and which you will be multiplied exceedingly, like which spoke the Lord, the power of your fathers, to thee, a land flowing with milk and honey. Verse 4, Shemai Yashar Allah, Yahweh Alahayanawa, Yahweh Akkad. Hear Israel, the Lord, our power is Lord, he is one. Verse 5, Wa ahabath ata Yahweh alahayaka, and you will love to the Lord your power. Bakal lababka, wa bakal napashka, says in all your heart and all your soul. Wa bakal ma'ad ka, and with all of your vehemence, right? Because that word ma'ad signifies exceedingly, diligence, which in this context it would denote vehemence, right? Because you're not going to say with all your diligence, right? So it says, verbatim, it says, you will love to the Lord your power and with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your vehemence. Wa hayawa ha dabarium ha Allah, and will be the words these, Ashar Anakaya, Matazawaka, which I have commanded to thee, Hayawam, this day, Al Lababka, right? This day upon your heart. Verse 7, Washanan Tham, banyaka, right? And you will teach your sons, right? But that word shanan doesn't actually mean to teach. It's actually um, in the sense of teeth. That's what the Shah symbol denotes, teeth. But it is in a sense, let's get that actually. Salakia. Um, so the root word is shanan, right? Literally to sharpen, right? Um, the Arabic would be san, Aramaic shanayana, and hence shan meaning tooth, right? So this is in a sense of actually let's scroll down. To sharpen, right, the tongue, right, in a sense of right, right, in a sense of practicing, right, because right, that word literally means teeth or to sharpen, right? So you're sharpening when you recite and go over these words and accounts. You have you're impressing them upon your children in a sense of you're teaching them or you're sharpening their mind, right, by reviewing um, right the things instructed, right. Why yashan why shanantham, right. Um, La Banyaka, right? And you will teach to your children, or you would teach them to your children, right? Wa the Barath, um, Bum, and will speak. The bar means speak upon them, right? Ba Shabbathka, right? In your dwellings, right? Ba Bayathka, because that word Shabbath, right, is a derivative of Yashab, meaning your dwelling, right, or your right habitation. Ba Shabbath Ka, Ba Bayath Ka, right, and in your house, Wa Ba Lakath Ka, and in your goings, right, Laka meaning to go or to walk, right. Ba Darak meaning in the way. Waba Shakabka, right? And in your sitting down, because that's what that means, to sit down or to lay down. Shakab, right? Means to lay down. And in your laying down and in your rising up. Wa Bakwamka, right? So it says, and you will teach them to your children and will speak upon them in your dwelling, in your house, in your goings, in the way, and you're lying down and you're rising up, right? Wa quashar thumb la awath, and you will bind them for a sign, right? Let's take a look at that word quashar, which is let's get that real quick. It's like it. Wa quashar. Actually, quashar is the root. Strong's H7194 says to bind, to conspire, right? Which is right, in the sense of let's see if we can get something else. Conspire. Quashar also means to be robust. Which you find in Genesis 30 and 41. Quashar not, right? The Syriac is Qatar, right? Which is, I believe, that means incense in the Hebrew. Let's get that real quick. Incense. Right, Qatar, incense, which is that goes hand in hand with Quashar because it's speaking of time binding a knot, which could be robust, right? In the sense that you're tying a big knot. The Arabic says Qasar, right here, for us to do a thing, right? Because, for example, the reason why it's called to bind in Syriac, right? Because in the Hebrew you're tying a knot, but you would bind a knot. You would put your particular incense upon your wicks, because back then you had wicks, which are what you light the candle up with, right? And you have the oil that you would use to keep that candle burning, right? Which is what you would do, right? So Quashar, a knot, or Syriac to bind it's kind of the same thing, right? And Qatar is kind of the same thing as Quashar because you're tying the knot and you're lighting the incense, right? For example, let's look at old ancient oil lamps. Right, so you see this is how they would look. Right, that's the wick. Is it you would put the oil in the middle and the wick would kind of stick out, right? Which kind of looks like the word itself, right? Because you have, right, for example, right, here is a drawing of what the the wick would go right here, the oil would go here in this area, right? But it kind of looks like, if you write out the word, kind of looks like the shape of the item itself, right? So this is why Hebrew is pictographic, and it is compared to a living language because it's literally symbols, right? Or like the Syriac would be qua, and let's see if I can see how that was done. It was kind of like something like this. No, that's not how it is. Right. Qatar. Let's see if I can recall how that was done. So it was kind of like, right, Qatar, right. It looks like the item itself, which is right, if you can get what I'm saying, right? See, kind of looks like a little ancient candle, right? Which should really be written like this, right? This is the Torah, the Ta, and this is the Qua, Ta, Qatar, right? Incense, but in Assyriac it means to bind, which, right? Really, that's what Quashar means, to bind, right? So let's go back. So it says, Wa Quashar thumb, La Awath, and you will bind for a sign upon your hand, Al Yadka, Wa Hayawa, La Tapath, and they will be as frontlets between Bayan, Ayan Yaka, between your eyes, right? So that word Tatapath, right, is frontlets, right? Because you have, right, the ta and the ta, that the ta symbolizes a basket, which there you see two baskets are symbolized there, and the pa is the mouth, right? You see, the scribes didn't have time, right, to write, okay, I'm going to explain this in detail, and I'm going to use 3 times as much of spaces instead of, right, using acronyms. This is an acronym in a sense, right? You can't find this in the blue letter, right? The scribes merely were saying, you will bind them as a sign upon your hand, and there will be as frontlets between your eyes, meaning, right, you're gonna perform them, right, with your hands, as in you're gonna keep them and perform them, right, which has to do with your hands. But first you have to study the customs, and right, and let them be as frontlets, right, between your eyes. The reason why I said that between your eyes is because you have to learn them first, right? So that word tatapath just symbolizes as frontlets, right? Meaning your senses of sight and mouth, right? Which it says in the book of Sirach that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai incited what? The senses, right? Understanding, right? Let's get that actually. See if I can just pull this up. King James Bible, which is I believe that's the latter chapters of the book of Sirach, which says so I can get that real quick. Sirach 39 and what is it? No, that's not it. That's not what I was looking for. See if I can get that real quick. Won't take too long on that. Let's get that real quick. Sirach 17 and verse 4. Verse 7, we'll start at verse 1. The Lord created man of the earth and turned him unto it again. He gave them few days and a short time, and power over the things therein. He endued them with strength by themselves, made them according to his image, and put the fear of man upon all flesh, gave him dominion over beasts and fowls. They received the use of the 5 operations of the Lord, and in the 6th he imparted them understanding, and in the 7th speech and interpretation of the cogitations thereof. Counsel and a tongue and eyes and ears and a heart gave he them to understand, right? So that is part of the frontlets between your eyes, understanding what the counsel, right, of the Lord, which comes with a tongue, right, with a language, with a doctrine, things written for understanding, right? Like Paul the Apostle said, and eyes, right, and ears, right? Because you had those, right, in the congregation which would recite these daily, right? Which is right, you would need ears, eyes, right? A heart, meaning your mind, right? So you're binding them as a sign upon your hand, right? But they have to be as frontlets between your eyes, meaning they have to be learned. When you receive them by the main, right? Um, the operations of man, right? Which mainly is the eyes and the tongue, right? Because the tongue is the language, the eyes, right, is the sight which you see, right? You don't have to necessarily hear, right? You see what the tongue is by the hand of the scribe, right? So it says Sirach 17:6, counsel and a tongue and eyes and ears and a heart gave you to them understanding. Withal he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and shewed them good and evil, right? And that's what the law does. It shows you what is righteous and what is an abomination to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. right? Sirach 17:8, he set his eye upon their hearts that he might shew them the greatness of their works, right? Verse 9, he gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, that they might declare his works with understanding. And the Sirach 17:10, and the elect shall praise his holy name. Beside this, verse 11, he gave them the knowledge and the law of life for an heritage, right? So all men have the what? The five uses, the five operations of the Lord, right? Which is what? Um, you have counsel, tongue, eyes, ears, right? And a heart, right? That's five, right? This in the sixth, right? He gave unto them understanding, right? So all nations have the five operations, right? But he gave the sixth to Israel, which is he gave them the law, right? And the understanding thereof, prophecy, right? Verse 7, withal he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and shewed them good and evil, right? Which is, right, the Tanakh, right? The whole volume of the book, right? Because it's prophecy. You have visions, similitudes, parables, dark sayings, uh, um, 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 enigmas. You have riddles in a sense, right? Um, so verse 7, right? Or verse 8, he set his eye upon their hearts that he might shew them the greatness of his works, right? But you cannot have, like it says in verse 5, right? In the seventh, in the sixth, right? Which was speech, right? The seventh is what? Understanding, right? Because you have, right, like I said, you have counsel, tongue, eyes, ears, heart, right? The sixth being speech, right? And everyone has speech, right? Um, right? Or Salakia, understanding, right? The seventh is speech, right? So everyone has that, right? But you have, right, those that were given to declare his works, right? Which is right, you have right, the knowledge of that understanding, right? Like it says in verse 7, showing them good and evil, right? And who did his, like it says in verse 8, he set his eye upon their hearts that he might shew them the greatness of his works. That's talking about Israel, right? Because it's going into verse 11, says what? Beside this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage, right? And then you read on at verse 17, it says, for division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Lord's portion, right? But anyways, so it says, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, and will be as frontlets between your eyes, right? So there's no actual Strong's concordance for that, but we're gonna go over still just to see what these researchers have said, which it was probably Edomite that uh, that did the research in this particular concordance, which I said is from the 1830s, right? And I have a PDF on that, so I can maybe go into it a little deeper in another video, or you can look it up yourself. So it says tawa, tapawath, tapwath, which is bands, fillets, right? Which the modern day small hats, they call them tefillin, or they call them Salakia. Forgot what it was called. Let's see, phylacteries, right? This was never literal, but you had Jake doing this back then as well, so it wasn't just a ish custom, right? They were called tefillin. Phylactery from the Greek, phylacterion, protectant, originally referred to tefillin, leather boxes containing Torah verses, right? Worn by some Jews when praying. They also, right, let's see, just click on tefillin. Tefillin, phylacteries are a set of small black leather boxes with leather straps containing scrolls of parchment, inscribed with verses from the Torah. Let's see what I'm looking for. Where they bind them on their hands. Although tefillin is technically the plural form of the singular being tefillah, it is often as a singular, used as a singular as well. The arm tefillah, or shalyad, literally of the hand, is placed on the upper non-dominant arm and the strap wrapped around the forelimb, hand, and middle finger, with the head tefillah or shalrash, right? They are intended to fulfill the Torah's instructions to maintain continuous sign and remembrance of the exodus from Egypt, as they were originally worn all day from sunrise to sunset, right? So let's just type in tefillin. See what we can get. Which is, this is off because it was never meant to be like that. But you did have Jake doing that back then as well. So this isn't just a Amalek that did this, right? Which really, and there's verses to prove that it wasn't literal, right? You have Proverbs, you have in the book of Exodus, right? It literally says to remember, right, and to recite as a remembrance, right? When dealing with this particular subject, we can get that actually. Bind as a sign of Exodus, right? 13 to 16, right? So let's go to blue letter, right? Analyze the text. Exodus 13, 16 says what? Actually, it might be up. Let's see. You see? right? So verse 16, it says, right, what I just read here in Deuteronomy 6 and 8, right? Wa haya la awath al yadaka, right? And will be as a sign upon your hand, right? Wala ta tapa wa ta tapath, right? As frontlets between your eyes. Bayan ayanya ka kaya, because ba chazak, in a strong hand. Yad ha, meaning he brought thee out. Hawa tazaya nawa, he brought you out. Yahweh, from Egypt. Ma matazarium. But read on up, and it'll tell you the exact purpose of the so-called tefillin, right? Which they're just called frontless, right? So this is going into the feast of unleavened bread. Then it goes into the tefillin, so-called, because there's no actually, it's not literal. So Exodus 13 and 8 says, and thou shalt shew thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt, right? Because when you're keeping the feast of unleavened bread, it's saying, what if your son asks you, what is this, right? Right. So now it doesn't say to bind it upon your eyes. That's not, see, it's talking about the unleavened bread, the feast day. And then it jumps into, well, your son's going to ask you, why are you keeping this particular feast day? Right. Exodus 13 and 9 says, and it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Right? So same thing, Deuteronomy 6 and 8, right? Exodus 13 and 16. It explains it in clear and precise, right? The sign upon your hand, right? The memorial between your eyes is that the Lord's law may be in your mouth, and that you may keep it, right? Because the son is going to ask you, why are you keeping the feast day? Like it says in previous verses, right? So Exodus 13 and 9, let's lock it, says, Wa haya laka la awath, and will be to thee for a sign, al yadka, upon your hand. Wa la zakar one, for a memorial between your eyes. Bayan ayanya ka lamayan, so that will be tahaya tawarath, right? The law of Yahweh in your mouth. Ba payaka kaya bayad, because in the hand strong hazak, he brought you out. Ha taza'aka, hawa taza'a, really it's ha taza'aka, Yahweh ma matazarium, right? He brought you out, Yahweh, from Egypt, right? So that is the purpose of right? So that word tapath is really symbolic. It's not literal, right? Deuteronomy 6 and 8, Exodus 13 and 16 is not literal. But you had Jake doing that back then, right? Because they were being super Hebrews, right? right? So that's where you get the word tefillin, right? Really, that word tefillin is Greek, right? It's a transliteration, but the original word is ta tapath, right? So it says, you will bind them for a sign upon your hand, it will be as frontlets between your eyes, right? Verse 9, wa katab, katab thumb, right? And you will write them upon your doorpost al mazawath, right? That word mazawath means doorpost, right? Which is where you get the word mezuzah from, right? Show you what a mezuzah is. Mezuzah. So it's not actually talking about a little box, right? That's not what a mezuzah literally means, doorpost, right? So you can write it in your doorpost, or you can put a piece of paper, write the 10 Commandments, right? Just hang it on your door. What I do, I just hung it on my window, right? Because it says to write it within your gates. So either or, you know, can't be over righteous in captivity, right? So that's the mezuzah, but really, you know, you're supposed to have the commandments inscribed on the actual doorpost, right? Visible, not in a damn box, right? Like that. That's even better than just a damn box, right? But that doesn't have necessarily the 10 Commandments. You can buy the ones that have the 10 Commandments on the outside, right? But, you know, that's all that means, doorpost. Wa kathab, kathabatham, al mazawath, right? Because you're not going to say mazawath, because it's, you kind of say it all together. Mazawath, mazawath, mazawath. You see? Which is why, you know, when you write like in the Arabic, there's a diacritic or a vowel that shows you when to repeat a word, so you're not just repeating it, you're not misspelling it, right? If you're unlearned, you know, which would be ma. This is and then you have a little W that says you're gonna repeat that twice, ma, right? Za, wa, tha, right? So you would say, okay, that means I repeat it twice, maza, zawath, right? And you say it together, mazawath. So really, that's not necessary. You know, you don't need all that. You don't need the vowels, because as you can see, right, the original Torah wasn't written in vowels, right? Wa katabatham al mazawath, meaning you will write. Katab means to write. Upon your doorpost. Bayathka, in your house. Ba shayarya ka, shayar meaning gate. So you're gonna write that in your gates, right? So really, you know, you can write the 10 Commandments, put on your doorpost, and then put it within your gates, which is, you know, if you live in a you know, in a house, you know, you could just put it on your window. You know, me, I just put it on my window. You know, you don't want to be over righteous. You know, oh, I gotta have my doorpost and then on my window, right? But, you know, to each his own, right? So it says, and you will write upon your doorpost, right, of your house and in your gates, right? Wa haya kaya yabyaka, right? And will be because you go in, he brings you in, right? Yahweh, Allahayaka, right? Yahweh, your power, the Lord, your power. Al ha'aratazah, to the land which he swore to your fathers. Ashar nashabai la abba dayaka, right? To Abraham, la, to Isaac, la yatazahak, and to Jacob, wala yaikwa, lathath, laka, to give to thee, cities, Arayim, Kadalath, great and goodly, Batabath, Ashar, La'a, Banayath, which you did not build, right? So that word Banayath, right? Bana is a root meaning to build, right? So it says, right, and it will come to pass because you were brought in, Salaki, and it will come to pass because he brings you in, right? The Ya meaning he, Baya meaning to bring in, Ka means to you, right? And it will come to pass because he brings you in, the Lord of your power, to the land which he swore to your fathers, right? To Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, and to Jacob, to give to thee cities great and goodly, which you did not build. Verse 11, Wabatayim, Malaayim, Kaltawab, and houses full of all goodly things. Ashar La'a Mala'ath, which you did not fill. Wa Barath Chatazabium, Ashar La'a Chatazabtha, right? So that word Wa Barath, which is where you get the root word is Ba'ar or Bawar, meaning well or cistern, right? Or dungeon, right? In this case, this is talking about wells. It says cisterns, but really it's the same thing, right? And wells which hewed out, right? Which right, pasal means something sculptured, right? Katazab means something carved out, like wells that are already built, right? So katazab means to carve, right? That's what you do when you dig a well, you carve it out, right? And wells carved out, which you did not carve out, right? Karambium, right? Karam means vineyard. Vineyards, right? Wa Zayathium, and olive yards, right? The word olive is Zayath, right? So they just essentially just plural, it just means vineyards, right? And the word itself means vineyard, right? When you're not speaking in the plural sense, right? So you would just say Zayath. Ashor la'a na tabat na taitha, which you did not plant, right? Natai means to plant. Wa akalath, right? And you will eat. Wa shabaitha, and you will be satisfied, right? Akal means to eat. The tha means you will eat, Wa Shabai means to be satisfied. It also means to swear. It also means 7. That's also where you get the word Sabbath from, Shabbath, which really Sabbath just means week, right? Week of days, week of rest, right? Doesn't mean rest itself. Rest is nawach, right? Um, so it says, verse 11, verbatim, it says, "In houses full of all goodly things, which you did not fill, and wells carved out, which you did not carve out, vineyards, and olive yards, which you did not plant, and you will eat and be satisfied." Right? Hashamar laka pan tashakach. Right? Keep to yourself lest you forget. To Atha Yahweh Ashar Hatazayaka, right? To the Lord which brought you out from the land of Egypt, right? Ma Ratazam Tazarium, Ma Bayath Ibadium, from the house of servants or servitude, right? Doesn't really mean bondage, it just means Ibadium, it just means servants, because you were a servant in the land of Egypt, right? Um, Deuteronomy 6 and 13, right? So it says, Salakia, verse 12, "Keep to yourself lest you forget, to the Lord which brought you out from Egypt, from the land of Egypt, from the house of servants." Verse 13, "Atha Yahweh Alahayaka Tayara Wa Athawa," right? "To Yahweh your power you will fear, and you will serve. To him you will serve, Ta Ibad. Wa Bashamwa Ta Shabai, and upon his name you will swear. La'a Ta Lakawan Acharya, you will not walk after," right? The Laka means to walk. Acharya means after. Alahayim means gods or powers, right? Others. Acharyim, right? Ma Alahaya, of the gods, right? Ha Mayim, of the peoples. Ashar, which are round about. Sab Yab Yab Yabatayakam, right? Because the Y isn't necessary, right? Actually, to read, right? So it says, "You will not walk after gods others from the gods of the peoples which are round about." So the root word for roundabout is sabab, meaning roundabout, right? Verse 15, "Kaya Allah Kwana Yahweh Allahayaka," right? "Because a power jealous is Yahweh your power," right? Ba Korabka Pan Yachar, right? Because in your midst, or Salakia, so it says, "Because a power jealous is Yahweh your power, and he is in your midst." He's in your midst, right? In the midst of you, right? Pan meaning less, Yachar, right? Lest he be wroth, right? Because the word har means literally to grow, to glow, or to wax hot, right? To be wroth, right? And that word na'ap means to be displeased, right? Um, Ap means denoting anger, right? Yahweh Allahayaka, the Lord your power upon thee, ka, Waha Shamayad Ka, right? And he make thee desolate, right? From upon Ma'al, Ma meaning from, Al meaning upon the face of the earth. Panaya Ha Adama, right? So it says verbatim, because a power jealous is Yahweh, your power, he is in your midst. Lest he wax hot and be angry, Yahweh your power upon thee, and he make thee desolate from upon the face of the earth. Verse 16, La'a tha nasawa atha Yahweh Allahayakam. You shall not tempt to the Lord your power, right? That word nasa, right, means to tempt, means to tempt. It also means to venture, like it says in the book of Deuteronomy 28, right? The woman that was delicate, she would venture to put her foot upon the ground, right? That word for venture is nasa. It also means to tempt, right? So it says, right, Ka Ashar Nasayatham Ba Masa, right? Like which you tempted him in Masa, right? So you will not tempt to Yahweh your power, like which you tempted him in Massa. Deuteronomy 6 and 17, Shamar, Ta Shamar 1, Ata Matazawath, right? Keeping you will keep, or surely you will keep, right? Because when you see that written that way, it means surely you will keep, or keeping you will keep, right? That's just, to give it a little extra, right, exaggeration. Keeping you will keep to the commandments of Yahweh your power, Yahweh Allahayakam, right, and to his testimonies, right, Wa Idath Yahweh, right, Wa Idath Yahweh, right, because Ad means witness, Idath means witnesses or testimony, right, because the whole book is a testimony, right. Wa Hakwayawa, right, and his statues, Ashar Tazawaka, which have been commanded to thee, right? So surely you will keep to the commandments of Yahweh your power, right? And his testimonies and his statutes, which have been commanded unto thee, right? Verse 18, Ashayath wa Ashayath, Hayashar wa Hatawab, right? And you will do what is right, Yashar, right? Means to be upright or to be right, which is where you get the word kosher, because kashar literally means correct, right? You are correct, right? Waha tawab means good. Tawab means good, right? So you will do what is right and good in the eyes of Yahweh, Ba Yanya Yahweh, right? La Mayan, right? So that it may be well unto thee. Ya Yatab Laka. Wa Ba'ath. Wa Yarashath. Right? And you will go in and to possess to the land good. Ataha Rataza Hataba. Right? So you don't always have to say Tawab. right? And vice versa, right? Sometimes the Y is not necessary, just like the ha is silent sometimes. So, right? Really, the ha at the end, like I keep saying, is just for the reader to know what is feminine and what is not, right? Ashar Nashabai Yahweh Abathayaka La Abathayaka, right? Which he has swore Yahweh to your fathers, right? So it says verbatim, and you will do what is right and good in the eyes of the Lord, right? So that it may be well unto thee, right? And you will go in and to possess the land goodly, which he has swore the Lord to your fathers, right? Lahadap ata call ayabyaka, right? So it says la meaning to, hadap means to thrust, right? To thrust ata to all your enemies, call ayabyaka, right? Because yarash means to possess. The word garash means to expel, right? Which is where you get the word widow from. Magarash means, right, widow, because she's expelled, right? Or not Salakia, not widow, but when you divorced woman is called Magarash because she is divorced, she's expelled from her house. You give her a written bill of divorcement and she is expelled. Magarash. So it's not the same as Hadap. Hadap means to thrust, right? Ma panyaka, right, from your face. Ka ashar dabar Yahweh, like which spoke Yahweh, right? So it says, right, to thrust to all of your enemies from before your face, like which has spoke the Lord. Verse 20, Kaya, Yashal, Ka, right? Banka, because he will inquire unto thee, your son, right? Mahar means tomorrow, right? But this isn't literally, okay, because your son is going to say the next day, right? This is figurative. For your son is going to say in time, in due time, right? He's going to ask you, right? What does these things mean, right? Kaya, Yashal Ka, Banka, Mahar, right? Because he will inquire unto thee, your son, right? Afterwards, right? La Amar, to say, Ma Ha'aidath, Ha Haquayim, Ha Mashapatium. What are these testimonies and these statutes and ordinances, Ashar Tazawa Yahweh, which had commanded, right, the Lord, our power, Allahayanawa, to you at the come, right? So it says, because he will inquire unto thee afterwards, your son afterwards to say, what are these testimonies, statutes, ordinances, which had commanded the Lord our power unto you, right? Wa Amarath, Labanka, Ibadium, Haya Yanawa, and you will say to your son, servants we were, to Pharaoh, La Paraya, Ba Matazarium in Egypt, right? Waya Tazayanawa, and he brought us out, Yahweh from Egypt, Yahweh Ma Matazarium, in the hand strong, Bayad Hazak, right? So that ha at the end is, right, you see how I said Chazak, right? So it's not always, right, right? Okay, well, the ha's at the end. Hazaka ha. You see, sometimes it just comes out natural, right? Right. So it says, and will say, and you will say to your son, servants we were to Pharaoh in Egypt, and he brought us out, the Lord, from Egypt in the hand strong. Wayathan Yahweh Awatha, right? Um, Wama Pathayim, right? Right. And he placed Yahweh signs and miracles, great Gadalium, Wa Rayim, right? And evil, right? Because the Lord rewarded evil to Pharaoh and his household for, right, oppressing the Israelites. Ba Matazarium in Egypt, Ba Pariah, right, upon Pharaoh, Wa Bakal Bayathwa, and upon his house, before our eyes, La Ayanya Nawa, right? So verbatim I say, and the Lord, and he placed the Lord miracles, Salakia, and he placed the Lord signs, right, wonders, great and evil, in Egypt, upon Pharaoh, upon all his house, before our eyes, right? Verse 23, Wa Awathanawa Ha Tazaya Masham Lamayan, right? Um, right, and to us brought out from hither, right? Brought us out from hither, so that, right? Ha Baya, Ha meaning he, would bring us into Thanawa, to us, to give to us, Lathath Lanawa, Atha Arataza, to the land, Ashar Nashabai, which he swore, so that Na before Shabai makes it past tense, La Abba Thayanawa, right, to our fathers, right? So verbatim it says, and to us he brought out from hither, so that he may bring us in, right, to us, to give to us, to the land which he has swore to our fathers, right? Waya tazawa nawa Yahweh la Ashawath, and he commanded, right, the Lord commanded us, the Lord, right, to do Atha call Ha Haquayim Ha Allah, to all the statues these, Wayara'a Rasalakia La Yara, right, to fear Atha Yahweh Alahayanawa, to the Lord our power, Latawab Lanawa, for good, for us, Kal Hal Yamayim, all the days, Lachaya Tanawa, of our living, Ka Hayawam Chaza, like today, this. Verbatim it would say, and he commanded us, the Lord, to do to all the statues these, to fear to the Lord our power, for so it may be good unto us all the days of our lives, like as it is today. Watazadak la haya salakia. Watazadak the haya lanawa, and righteous it will be to us, or righteousness, or righteous it will be to us, kaya nashamar, because we keep, to do, la ashawath, Atha call Hamatazawa to all which was commanded, right? Because Matazawath with a tha at the end makes it plural. But here is ha Matazawa, meaning to all which was commanded, right? This Hazath Lapanaya Yahweh Alayanawa, for the face of the Lord our power, like which he commanded us. Ka Ashar Tazawanawa, right? So it says, and will be, right? Verbatim it reads, and righteous it would be to us, because we keep to do to all which was commanded, this before the face of the Lord our power, like which he had commanded us, right? So that is Deuteronomy chapter 6, right? Going into the Hebrew, right? It's Brother Yatazadak, Hero Israel. Lord, when you were edified, giving honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Habrakat Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, Kwame Asherala, and Abad Ball, Shalom.